tournament.
Yeah.
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, we're good, right? Yeah. Some of my colleagues can help me out here, you know? We'll rotate.
Can we please stand
You want a Red Bull?
for pledge allegiance?
Sorry.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for prisoners of war, men and women missing in action. Thank you.
We haven't done all the mics. Huh? We haven't done all the mics.
Okay, I didn't know if we're live, right? Okay, just double check. Good evening. Secretary Billups, can I get a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilman Hayman,
Here.
Councilwoman Blackwell. I'm sure she's probably on her way.
Okay.
Councilman Andrusco.
Here.
Councilman Sadiq.
Present.
Councilwoman Faralia. Here. Councilman Silver. Here. President Burke.
Here.
Secretary Billups is here. Councilor Wagner. Here. Councilor Tunis.
Here.
Vice President Wentz.
Here.
I'm so sorry. Oh, this is Danielle.
Okay, we're good.
Hey, Councilwoman Danielle. Hello? Okay, all right, thanks. She's on her way.
Okay, thank you.
But you know, she's probably, she could, well, you know, she might have been driving, I don't know. Vice President Wentz,
Here.
and we have Officer Bateman, and I'm sorry, I don't know your, Officer Gardner.
The township's document, it comes from the numbers we get from your business office, the reports, schedules we get from your business office, so that is yours, those are your numbers. Really, the only thing in the financial statement that is Maileys is the opinion. Opinion on the 21 financial statement is an unmodified opinion. That's a positive opinion. That's the best opinion you can have on your financial statement. What that essentially means is that, in our opinion, statements are free of any material misstatement. They comply with generally accepted accounting principles. They comply with all governmental accounting standard board pronouncements. And there's no scope limitations. We come into the audit with a very lengthy list of documents that we want to see, everything from bank statements and reconciliations to every employee's W-2 to a lot of invoices and all sorts of other reconciliations. And we did receive everything that we needed in order to conduct our audit. So, good opinion on the financial statement. We also issue a management letter, also known as a SAS 115 letter. We've issued this the last 3 years we've done the audit, 21, 20, and 19. The findings there this year are very similar to what we had the last 2 years. Finding 2021-01 internal control policies and procedures. We continue to recommend that the township have an internal control policy and procedure document. This would be a document for everybody working at the township, all the departments of who's doing what, when are they doing it, who's reviewing documents. So how often are deposits taken to the bank by each department? How are invoices, how are purchases approved? How are invoices approved? Who's allowed to sign things? All those sort of that framework of how all your finances work. We continue to recommend that there be a document that outlines all of that. Finding 2021-02 record keeping. This continues to be a finding that we have from year to year. We really had 2 items in here. Capital assets. We didn't get your 2021 capital asset schedule till April of 2023. That was one of the last pieces that we got. So we do recommend that there be a more ongoing effort to keep those sort of schedules up to date. We also have noted the processing of cash receipts, that while a daily cash summary report goes to the finance department, it doesn't actually always include the supporting documents. So some of your cash receipts records actually get split up. So we recommend looking into that process and trying to keep all your documentation for transactions together. Finding 2021-03 grant management. This is a repeat as well from the last 2 years. Under the Uniform Grant Guidance, which is really for all governments to follow as it relates to federal grants, you are required in your accounting system to track all your grants separately. They all need to have their own separate revenue account, separate expense account for each individual grant. So, if there's a bulletproof vest grant for 21, that should have its own revenue and expense account. If there's one for 22, that should have a different revenue and expense account. There continues to be issues getting a good reconciliation of grants. We actually have just gotten the 2020 schedule of grants to conduct the single audit. That's 2020. We just got that maybe a month ago, and then we just received 2021 schedule a week or 2 ago. So those are the sort of things that should be really easy to pull together if you're accounting for grants and tracking them properly. So we continue to have that recommendation. Finding 2021-04 information technology and software. I'm pretty sure everyone's aware of this one. I know that you have made moves I think in 22 or maybe in 2023 to implement a new financial software. However, we were still working on the old software in 2021, which is extremely outdated, very difficult to get reports out of it. There's a over-reliance on using Excel or paper to create reports that a modern accounting system, you'd be able to push a button and be able to push that out. So I know strides have been made there, but as it relates to 21, we were still working with an old system. 2021-05, due to from balances and transfers between funds, we had a couple issues here this year. We did have this finding last year as well related to interfund balances. During the audit, we noted a transfer out of the sewer rental fund to the general fund for just shy of $2.6 million. Where that came from is the Finance Department made that based on the 21 budget. It was designed to be a balanced budget, but the sewer fund was running a surplus, the general fund was running a deficit, so a transfer was made to make sure all the funds balance. We would just like to see that made explicitly in the budget process. Typically, a budget process should be each fund individually on its own. Here, I think it was more kind of everything in one column. So I think having the transfers that you want to have between funds explicitly stated in the budget would be a good thing to have. We also noted significant interfund due to from balances accumulating in the general fund, debt service fund, sewer rental fund, and other governmental funds. Anytime you have interfund balances under the governmental accounting rules, if you don't have a plan to pay those budgets or pay those interfund balances back between funds, it should be written off through transfers. Right now, those accounts are still carrying forward. We do recommend, again, those be looked at as part of the budget process. Do you have a plan in place to pay those funds back, or are we going to write that off via transfer? There was also an issue with the sewer rental fund had a negative cash balance of $457,000. The reason for that is it's a sweep account, so as checks come out of that account, there's an automatic transfer from your general fund depository to put money into the sewer rental account. So anytime you look at that bank statement's always a zero balance, even though there's checks coming out of it, because as soon as the check gets cashed, money comes over from the general fund depository. The reason now went negative is because there's a list of outstanding checks that haven't cleared the bank yet. So initially, when we got the numbers for 2021, there was a negative cash of $450,000. You can't have negative cash on a governmental bank statement or financial statement. So what we ended up having to do was move that down to be an interfund between the general fund and sewer rental. And again, something you're going to want to consider, through future budget processes. Only other thing in the management letter, again, carrying over from prior year, there is a component unit, the Upper Darby Township Weed and Seed, where we just, again, want to make sure that you guys are aware that you have that. It is set up as a separate nonprofit entity, and we're not sure if 990s have been filed for that or who's managing the tax component of that. We've brought this up in the past, and we just wanted to kind of put it in there again as a notice to maybe look into that, make sure 990s are getting filed. And the last sort of recommendation there is timely and accurate financial reports. Obviously, this is a 2021 financial statement that we were able to get issued in May of 2023. That is a very long drag. Some of the reason for that goes back to some of the other findings, software issues, having good policies and procedures in place to get the books on the accrual basis to do an audit in a more timely fashion. So obviously, you guys want financial statements more quickly, for your decision making and to look at the finances. And we also think that really should be done as quickly as possible in the future. The last letter that we issue is a SAS 114 letter, also called the letter to governance. This is a pretty cookie cutter letter. Talks about our relationship to the financial statement audit, which was to express an opinion on the financial, which we did, and that was an unmodified opinion. The second page is significant risks identified. These are things that we identify in our planning process, things that we think could go wrong or could be an issue during the audit. They might not necessarily be a problem. It's things we plan for. And really, most of these items came out of the management letter that we issued last year. Issues that we noted in the 20 audit that carried over to 21, and things that were in the letter we just talked about: grant management, lack of potentially supporting documentation, old IT systems, things of that nature. Discloses significant accounting estimates, the big ones being over your pension plans, your other post-employment benefit plans, and capital assets. Significant unusual transactions, none were noted. Significant difficulties encountered during the audit. No difficulties were noted during the audit. Again, we were able to receive everything that we needed in order to conduct the audit. Uncorrected and corrected misstatements. We do have on the very last page of that the audit adjustments we made as part of the entry. There's 5 there, and if you look really closely, you'll see the numbers are 101, 127, 128, 129, 130, so it looks like there's a big gap there. During the course of the audit from when we started, we actually did get about 25 entries from the business offices we were conducting things. So we don't include those because those are really coming from the township, but these were 5 entries that came from us, corrections that we made during the audit. Disagreements with management, none were noted. And then other significant matters, findings, or issues. Like I said, we did issue a SAS 115 letter that we just went over. So other than that, no other difficulties during the audit. So those were the 3, letters, opinions that we issued on the financial. I would be happy to field any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Herr. We'll start from Councilman Tunis, and we'll go around the table. If you're not ready for a question or want to add later, we'll just come back to you. It looks like Councilman Trusco has the first question. Okay.
Hi, Mr. Herr. Thank you for coming out tonight. Couple questions I just prepared in reviewing your report. I guess just starting at some of the findings you have regarding the processing of transactions. You said it kind of varied a little bit by department. I understand it's an issue not having a consistent process, but in reviewing each department, were there any sort of red flags or issues you saw with the way they work verifying transactions?
I think it was just the inconsistency and the
Okay.
fact there is no document for me to go back to and say, that's the way it should be done and that's the way it was done.
Okay.
That's really the concern.
Just putting a formal pattern in place. Okay, and then the other one you mentioned was cash receipts. And here it says departments submit daily cash summary reports. However, the departments do not support submitting documentation for these daily cash summary reports.
Right.
Is that essentially saying there's no sort of detailed list or invoices or anything like that submitted with them?
Yeah, they're separated. So once the support comes in and they fill out that daily report, the daily report goes up to finance, and then the support kind of, I think, generally stays down with the department. And that's something that we found when we came in to do the revenue testing. It was, sometimes the first round didn't have everything because there was other documents in a secondary location. I mean, you should really have everything kind of traveling together and centrally located.
Do you know if there's a reconciliation process that was done from the departments receiving the cash reports going back down to the department submitting them, making sure that it ties out with anything they've done?
That I don't know.
Okay.
That I would have to look back at my notes. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay. And then the other one, I know you mentioned the transfer from the sewer fund for 2.5 million, roughly somewhere in that area. Sorry, I'm just going to pull up the verbiage that you have within your specific report. Just give me a second here. So you said this transfer wasn't explicitly budgeted and there was no supporting documentation for the underlying costs for the sewer fund that would reimburse what it would reimburse the general fund for.
Right.
When you're looking for supporting documentation, is that sort of in ordinances, or what kind of supporting documentation are you looking for?
There's different ways and reasons that you can move money between funds. Sometimes it can simply be, this fund has a surplus, this one has a deficit, and we know we're going to plan on, moving funds over. Last year's finding had to do with the highway aid fund, which is sort of a legal, legally restricted as to what you can use those funds for. In that case, my bigger concern was, I think the highway aid fund moved money over to the general fund, and there was no real listing of, well, wait, the highway aid fund has to be used for very specific things. And there's no support that what they're reimbursing the general fund was for those specific things. So I think the way I kind of wrote the finding was, I don't know if this was I think it was implicitly transferred, but generally what we want to see anytime there's a transfer is it's either explicitly budgeted, or if it wasn't budgeted, that there's support for why, usually it's, maybe disbursements were paid out of the general fund in air and, the sewer rental's got to pay it back. Or there's an indirect cost plan where, there's employees paid in the general fund where, maybe 50% of their time is spent on sewer. So they're going to reimburse for, there's a calculation, there's a
Right.
rationale for why that stuff's happening.
Okay, yeah, understood, and I get that. I guess just to follow up to that, I know you mentioned kind of the home rule charter and the necessary rules to follow. Would you say a transfer from a sewer fund to a general fund is within a department, or would you say that it's an appropriation balance from a department, office, or agency to another?
I don't know what, I would have to think about that one. I'm not sure how I would classify that when it's done at a budget level.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate your answers.
Sure.
Councilman Silva?
I'm good right now, but thank you.
I'll go around to everybody anyway. Are you ready? Okay. So, Mr. Herr, it seems like it took 18 months from the time of the end of the year to finish this 2021 audit. Is that correct?
We didn't start January 1st, but yes, it was about 16 and a half months to the middle of May.
How long did it take to do the 2020 audit?
2020,
Because you were here, this is your third audit, correct?
my third audit. I
Right.
believe 2020 was issued around February 15th, I think.
Yeah. So about 5, 6 months longer it took this year?
Well, February 15th to May 15th, it'd be about 3 months, about 3 months.
Any particular reason?
I don't even think I got a trial balance till November.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't even think I got a trial balance till November. So we can't start an audit till we have numbers. And then, as I stated with the findings, there was some pieces of it, like capital assets, that I didn't get till April. So when I got some pieces like that, and I'm trying to remember, there was another big piece, compensated absences, I think, came in April too. So when we got those last couple pieces, we were full speed ahead to get that thing done in 3 or 4 weeks by May 15th.
And did I hear you said that you just you received something in the last couple of weeks? Did you say you just received something
Well,
in the
we-
last
we-
couple of weeks?
We received capital assets, I think compensated absences. I think those were the last 2 pieces we were waiting on. We got those in April.
Okay.
As far as things we got in the past couple of weeks, that's related to the single audit. So that's a separate from your financial audit. That's the audit of federal awards. So we just got the 2020 and 21 CFA schedules to conduct those things just in the last couple of weeks. So that's a separate sort of audit ancillary to the financials.
And you also performed the audits on the pensions, is that correct?
We did the audit on the police and firefighter.
Okay. Can you give me an update on those two, where you feel that those
Yeah.
pension plans are at?
Yeah, actually I had a bookmark in case you asked.
Thank you.
So your police pension plan, pretty good year, went from 90% funded in 2020. That's up to 92% funded this year. So I mean, that's a really good funding level. Keeping in mind, this is as of 2021. And your firefighters is right around the same spot, about 92% funded. So based on the actuarially calculated liability, you've got 92% of that sitting in cash and investments. And although we don't audit it, your employee pension plan is a little better at 96%. I would caution everyone that every municipal audit I finished for 22 already has seen pretty significant decreases, anywhere from 13 to 18% losses in the assets. That's market driven. I can't think of any reason off the top of my head that you guys wouldn't be seeing the same thing. So just, in the interest of full disclosure, you have a really good funding level now. I would expect that to drop off a little bit in 22 and then hopefully bounce back up 23 and 24.
Thank you, Mr.
Sure.
Yeah, no. Secretary Phelps, are you ready or? Okay. Councilwoman Wagner.
Thank you, President Burke. I didn't think I had a question until what you just said. You're talking about the police and fire and township pensions. That's as of 2021, correct?
That's of 21. That's why I wanted to bring you a little bit more up to date with just what I've seen in the market. as
Because
far
are
as
you
22.
aware that Upper Darby Township has shown up now on the Auditor General's report indicating for the state, indicating that the pension plan is actually minimally distressed and underfunded by 25%?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Farrelly. Vice President Wentz.
So I actually would like to, I believe Treasurer Heyman and I had reviewed the report, and I did not refresh my memory of it beforehand. Treasurer Heyman, were there questions that we had?
We're going to go around the table. We'll go back.
Okay, so I'm going to defer my questions
fine.
to him because he created a list and I forgot to bring it
Fine.
with me, and
That's
I
fine.
apologize.
We'll
But
get to Treasurer Heyman.
we did have questions, and I
Get
do
to him
believe
last. We'll get to him last.
Councilman Andrusko did ask some of the questions, but yeah, so I'm sorry about putting you on the spot, Treasurer Hayman. If you don't have them, we'll
Councilman
find
Hayman?
another way.
Councilman Hayman? You ready? Oh, you're good? Councilman Siddiq? I'm good. Okay. Let's go back. Oh, hello, Danielle. I'm sorry. Councilman Tunis? Okay. Oh, okay. We'll go to Treasurer Hayman. Are you ready or?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Okay. Councilman Tunis? Okay. Councilwoman Blackwell, you good? Okay. So is all council good or? Sure, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So some of so when you were working on the audit, specifically in like parking, for instance, right? The parking department, how do you, like, were you able to account for, like, you said there was no supportive in some deposits, there were no supportive documents, as in like no cash receipts indicating that the meters were cashed out and then deposited. I mean, because I believe our township has a coin counter within the township that all the coins and all that stuff is supposed to go to. So wouldn't that coin counter include all those supportive documents, or did you not get access to that?
We were able to get access to support for everything. The issue was that it's not all kind of kept together, so it's a little hard to get to. I don't know if we tested parking tickets or meter collection specifically.
Okay.
It's not a forensic audit.
Right.
We might have looked at 1 or 2 receipts throughout the year. We look at hundreds of receipts across the township.
Right.
I don't know specifically what we would have seen for meter parking collection type things. I'd have to go back, look at the specific records.
Okay, okay. Okay, and the as far as the accounting procedures, or the procedures of funds coming in and funds coming out of the individual departments, was it basically that there was no policy in place for a standardized system for all of that?
You're talking about the interfund balances?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, again, there should be a system of review at a minimum to look at the balances that are already existing and decide, well, is the general fund going to pay back, liquid fuels, and that's an example. I don't know if there specifically is an interfund between those funds, but just as an example, is there a plan to refund that, or is that going to be written off through transfers, which is the guidance under governmental accounting? Outside of that, it should be explicit in your budget. If you're going to move, money from, you have a general fund surplus, you want to move it over to capital projects or a capital improvement fund, which happens, relatively regularly in a lot of municipalities I work with. Usually that's something that's budgeted, or that's something that, comes before council and is, explicitly approved, in a council meeting. Usually it's one or the other. So we just think the system there could use a little fine tuning.
okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, anybody else from council? Treasurer Hayman? Are you good? Okay. Seeing nobody else, Mr. Hurd, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Have a
Have a
good
good night.
All right. Next up, 7.0, public forum. Secretary Belps.
So when you come up to the mic, please state your name and address and speak into the mic. First, we have Molly Power.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Molly Power. I reside at 139 Heather Road. I'm here about the events on Sunday in Cardington Field. I'm not sure if anybody was aware of the gathering. It was some kind of a bazaar or fair. There was hundreds of people there. There was no porta potties. There was no police presence. There was no code enforcement of any kind. There was parking all over, our streets are all one way. So if you're going to park on both sides of the street, you can't get out of your driveway or go anywhere. I had to cancel plans because I couldn't leave my house. It was just mayhem. If there had been someone's house on fire, they probably would have burned down because the fire department was not getting down the street. The police were finally dispatched, I guess, around 8:30. The park is supposed to close at dusk. That has always been a bone of contention with me and my neighbors, that people are always still there at nighttime, whether they're drinking, smoking pot, whatever they're doing. Because there were no porta potties, I'm doing my dishes and I'm seeing people urinating on trees and in between cars. That's totally unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. I don't know who signed off on this permit, if it was, I wrote down some notes about, for a right to know on who signed off on this permit, why there's no porta potties anywhere to be seen. What was the other thing I had? As far as the trash was all over the place. Finally, there was a municipal truck that came down, couldn't make it down the street because cars were blocking their way down to clean the trash. Let's see, so who's paying the trash cleanup for that? It better not be myself or any of my neighbors or anybody in the township. That should have been on the permit. Whoever pulled the permit should be paying for that. The other thing, as usual, is the speeding that goes around on that park. I would please, if there could do some kind of speed bumps or something. They're going 90 miles an hour down the street in any given direction, and there's no stopping them. They do it on 69th Street. You can hear the cars revving. It's just ridiculous. Somebody's going to get killed or flip their car or something. So if there's any way to put in speed bumps or some way to deter people from speeding. And also there's a lot of lack of signage on the streets. I see almost every 10 minutes, somebody's going down the street the wrong way. Now, whether they're not paying attention because most of the time they're on their phone, to put better signs, what the speed limits are. I don't even know what the speed limits are in my neighborhood because there's no signs. Plus the amount of commercial vehicles with trailers and things that take up precious parking that we are lacking as it is now. These are just some of the things, I don't know if any of you are aware of, but that thing on Sunday was just completely unacceptable with the public urination and the trash. And, it's like, this is our neighborhood. Most of these people couldn't get out of their own driveways like I couldn't. So, whoever's pulling these permits, this is not the first time this has happened. This was just the culmination of many years, and it just kind of blew up on Sunday. So, for transparency, I think we should be told ahead of time if there's any kind of gathering, how many people are going to be there? Are they going to have restrooms? Who's cleaning up this, that? This is, we all pay decent taxes, so I think for transparency, we should know who is signing off on these permits.
Well, hopefully they'll take it to the license and inspection and maybe get you some answers. So, thank you.
So if they could let us know ahead of time would be helpful. Thank you. What?
Thank you.
Oh, thanks for your
No.
time.
Thank you. Next is Bonnie Hallam.
Bonnie Hallam, 4719 Woodland Avenue, Drexel Hill, PA. I just have a few things that I wanted to talk about as far as the environment goes. So the Environmental Advisory Committee of Upper Darby is promoting reusable bag use in Upper Darby. Some of the things that we hope that people will do is to start taking these to the store with them. We actually, in the township, are offering reusable bags in the one center, up to 5 per person for free, so people can go and pick them up there. It's the hope of the EAC that we'll be able to get some at various other places in the township, like at the libraries and the senior center and places like that. So I'll let people know when that's happening as well. But we're also want to promote the Plastic Free July. This is a national sort of event, and people are just trying to take the challenge to use less plastic than they normally use. Thank you, Brian. And I would encourage the township to purchase reusable bottles for all of the council people so that instead of offering them those bottles, we can have people fill them up. Anyway, the other thing I want to let people know is that the first week of July, the goats are returning to this time near the Swedish cabin as courtesy of the Tree Vitalize grant that the township was awarded with the Shade Tree Commission. And we hope that people will come out and see them. They do a great job. And this is a conservation work near the Swedish cabin that's happening through that grant. I also wanted to make people aware that last week there was a rain garden tour of Upper Darby. In the last 2 years, 23 rain gardens have been put in Upper Darby. And these are not just a pretty face. These actually are stormwater mitigation best practices, and they are part of the requirements that the township has to the state of Pennsylvania. It's called MS4s, and that if you don't fulfill your requirements, then there's some sort of something that goes with that for not fulfilling your requirements. So we are always looking for ways to fulfill requirements for the MS4s, and these look beautiful, and hopefully other people will check out the Facebook page of Upper Darby Rain Gardens and try to get a rain garden at your home. Another thing is solar is increasing in Upper Darby Township. If you go to the website, the Upper Darby Township website, you can see a little map of various places. I don't think it's exactly up to date yet, but we're working on that. I actually got solar and started using it in January, and I've had 2 bills that were 0 for my electric in the last 2 months. And I have a full family of 8 people that live in my township, in my house. Is that my time? Okay.
You can finish up on.
I also, I do want to say about the ARPA funds that are being voted on tonight, particularly 3138 for the senior center in Drexel Hill. It's great if you want to do a one-time leasing thing, but what are you going to do for staffing and keeping that going once money is put into it? So I don't know if that's consideration that's been taken, but I hope you're thinking about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you. Next is Joanne Namavag.
Sorry. Joanne Namavang, 133 North Pennock. First, I want to thank, I guess, Laura, you did a lot of work on the ordinances that are coming, are going to be introduced tonight. And it looks like it was a lot of work to put into that. So to Laura and to everyone else who may have had a hand in that, I thank you. So now I want to follow up with a question to Mayor Keffer regarding the updates that she provided at the last council meeting on June 7th. Mayor Keffer, at the June 7th Council Committee meeting, during your update, you commented that you wanted to clarify the status of the fire apparatus purchases, which you characterized as a big and sprawling topic of speculation at the last couple of council meetings. You stated that 2 apparatus were ordered using $2 million from ARPA funding. You reported that 1 should be ready by the end of the summer and the other will be ready by December. The update that you provided implied that the township will be taking delivery of both apparatuses. Yet during the old business, Councilwoman Wagner point blank asked you if you signed a letter of canceling the fire truck, to which you emphatically replied yes. And on the most recent quarterly SLFRF compliance certification of ARPA funds, which you certified on April 20th, 2023, there were 2 fire apparatus listed as being purchased with ARPA funds. Fire apparatus number 1, squad pumper, is listed for $765,000, and fire apparatus number 2 for $772,362. So are these the 2 you referenced, and are they still being delivered?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the next question is, so which fire truck got canceled? So is there a 3rd fire truck?
There was, yes.
Okay. So that 3rd, I guess I'm confused because these 2 are, in the $700,000, $800,000 range, and we allocated $1 million. So these were the ones that were going to be for these two that are listed here were the ARPA ones. And that third one was something else, or was there 3 that were going to be for $2 million? And then we canceled one.
The third one was to be paid for with capital funds.
Okay.
Yes.
So I guess the ones you canceled, the one you canceled was with capital funds. So that's the one that was going to cost $150,000 more. But that wasn't from ARPA funds.
That wasn't ARPA, no.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, it's helpful when you answer the questions because like last meeting, you weren't being transparent and we would appreciate transparency because we, as residents and, even the residents that aren't here, we want to know what's going on. We want to know how our money's being spent. And I guess that my last question is, so are these fire trucks new or are they used?
They should be new. Why
Okay.
would you think they're
I was
used?
just curious because you're allocating $1 million. The way it was presented at the beginning, $1 million for 2 trucks, it made it sound like that. I mean, I remember Chief Sawyer saying that, that they were like going to be at least $1 million each. So I guess I'm just confused. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next is Jamie Watts.
I think everyone has already seen this, Jamie Watts, 639 Lukens Avenue. This is in regards to the Delco mulch fire 2 weeks ago. This machine is in the wrong place. It should be located in a bigger space, a safe distance away from public areas, neighborhoods, daycares, schools, and people. It should be at a space where following regulations and ordinances is easy and struggle-free. The current space is too small, and this area is too dense with people for this kind of operation to function comfortably and safely. It should be in a bigger space where, if and when it succumbs to the ever-present fire risk associated with mulching facilities, there's no worry about loss of life or property. This fire could have easily been much, much worse if the firefighters were only a few minutes late. The fire was dangerously close to huge piles of firewood surrounding the property, and embers were floating through the park towards the high school. We can't run the risk of letting another machine be placed in the same location. This can never happen again. There's a better way that's less risky for everyone.
Thank you. Why is this thing here?
What I would like to say to that is after the fire, our fire department did a great job putting it out, and they are working with the owner of that company to bring the whole business into compliance. So that nothing like that happens again. So thank you for bringing this to council.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you. Next is Jim Tybin.
How you doing? Jim Tiedemann, Kenwood Road, Drexel Hill, Drexel Park. I wanted to ask, I have 3 quick questions. Down the creek, on Crick Road, right past the trolley trestles, as soon as you go over underneath the trolley trestles,
I'm sorry, can you talk in the mic? Thank you.
on Crick Road, down by the trolley trestles, as soon as you cross that little bridge, 50 yards away, there's a little area on the left that's just a mud hole. Everybody has parked their cars there and worked on their cars, go fishing, hang out, drink beer, whatever. I was taking my car there when I was a young boy. But it'd be great, like with all this extra capital we have in the township, it'd be great if we could just, maybe someday when we have some extra stones or some extra blacktop, just pave that area. We're not talking about a large area. We're talking maybe 40, 50 feet, 20 foot wide. It's nothing. And, you know, just get down there sometime. You'll see exactly what I mean. There's always some people there. There's always cars there. And it's just, it's been there for 100 years, you know. People have been using that area right next to the creek. They fish there and everything. Also, my second one is, so I live in Drexel Park. I come home last month. I tried to make the last meeting, but the smoke got to me. I have a lung transplant. I'm probably huffing and puffing, but it is what it is. I'm still here. I come home one day, and all of Drexel Park is all graffitied up with white crosswalks all over the whole neighborhood. You know, safety has nothing to do with this. You know, somebody had nothing to do that day. They were looking for something to do, and they put crosswalks 10 streets away from Upper Darby High School. 7 cars a day go down my street, and we're painting crosswalks on it. You go over to Garrifer where there's young children, 8 and 10 years old, a block away, there's no crosswalks. Why did you come to my neighborhood and paint up the whole neighborhood with crosswalks? I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I already called a couple people about this. You know, it's like, duh. You know, a little common sense here. Okay, I also want to bring to your attention the driving. The driving in this township is out of control. On Garrett Road, they passed me on my right, they passed you on the left. The guy across the street from me, he was sideswiped. On the right-hand side, he's driving down the road. Somebody passed him on the right and sideswiped his car and speeded up away. You know, you stop at a red light, they go around you, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're all aware of it. We see it every day. You know, we have this little extra money in the township to be painting white lines. Fund the police. Let the police fund the police. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next is Harry Dietzler.
Harry Dietzler, 7205 Wayne Avenue, Upper Darby. This is Jen Shaner. Good evening, Mayor Keffer, council members. I'm here representing the Upper Darby Arts and Education Foundation, and this is our Associate Director, Jen Shaner. And we're here to ask for your support for the Arts Center in Barclay Square.
In the past 2 years, we've developed a strong partnership between the township and the Arts and Education Foundation that has really benefited our young people in our community. The township is represented on our board of directors and has offered significant support of Upper Darby Summer Stage and the Shaner Music Man Academy. This support has included 282 scholarships to Summer Stage and $15,000 in grants for the Music Man Academy and the Shaner 5K run last month.
We're thrilled to have 657 summer stagers registered this year, ready to go, and 132 Music Man and Butterfly Buddy campers ready to go, ready to have the time of their lives. Our shows start July 5th.
The arts have always been a huge unifier of our community. Music, dance, and theater communicate beyond words, and they break down the barriers of language and culture. The arts teach and mentor children through creativity, empathy, and the joy of working together towards a common goal. We invite the community to share the great work that the children do by attending performances and just cheering on the children of our community.
So the foundation has a vision of extending the Music Man Academy, Summer Stage, and Butterfly Buddy programs to a year-round experience for our kids throughout the year. We've been working for more than a year to find a space to offer classes in dance, music, school to rock programs, acting classes, children's choirs, jazz bands, individual lessons, and much more, not only to our current grades 4 through 12, but also to younger children and also to adults and senior citizens. An ideal space has become available in the Barclay Square Shopping Center that can house multiple studio spaces as well as the offices of the foundation. The location is only blocks away from our 2 high schools and next door to Beverly Hills Middle School. Gina Curry has established a safe corridor program that crosses right in front of this building. This central location provides equitable access to the arts for our lower income children with public transportation right across the street.
The requested grant will support the cost of the lease, renovating the facility to create studios and rehearsal spaces, and will establish the staffing and structure to develop successful programs in the mornings, after school, evenings, and weekends. In 2013, the Upper Darby Township community worked together to save the arts and has never wavered in its support of programs like the Music Man Academy and Summer Stage. So now we ask you to continue your bipartisan support of the arts, and we want to create a new dimension of arts programming in Upper Darby Township. There are amazing kids in Upper Darby, and they deserve every opportunity we can give them, and this new community arts center can unite us to make it happen.
So thank you, Mayor Keffer. Thank you, council members, for all you're doing for us already. Please come see us this summer. We've got great kids and great programs going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next was Jen, but I guess since you came up already, you good? Okay. Olivia Taylor.
Olivia Taylor, 204 Kent Road. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to be all over tonight, so just follow me. First and foremost, I submitted 2 right to knows. First one was the report for the parking situation that's going on right now. And the second right to know I submitted was for the salary of the director of the parking. I've heard from multiple sources that not only herself, 2 members of her family went on a trip to Africa. This is why I need to know that salary, because I don't care how much you make, there's no way. It's $10,000 a piece to leave the country. You don't make that much. I doubt it. Then to find out that one of the meter maids on a cruise ship for 2 weeks, her and her family. Then to see Joe Holtz's report, those 18,000 tickets that wasn't processed cost the township a $1.6 million loss. Are you kidding me? You don't have anything to say, Barbara Ann? You're the leader of these criminal pacts. You don't have anything to say? How many residents are going hungry right now or just struggling to pay a bill? You don't have anything to say? There's no way in hell neither one of those 2 get paid enough. And I'm calling out the DA as well. Because see, I'm quite sure you don't have anything to say. Your drunken escapade, you got ARD for. Something that you should not have qualified for. How the hell that happened? Everybody else that I know, because I don't drink and drive, that has a DUI, either go to jail for a weekend, get their license suspended, and they don't qualify for RD. So how did you do that? Nothing? Of course not. The second thing I'm going to talk about, and I'm glad the woman who was here talked about from Heather Road, the crap show that was going on Sunday. She not see, it was only one officer there, and he was so sweet. Too sweet, if you ask me, because they were arguing with him, telling this man they don't have to leave the park. Why should we have to leave the park? Urinating everywhere. He had to get on his loudspeaker in order to get the trash trucks through there. Your permit was from 2 to 8, not from 2 to 11 o'clock at night. You're going to follow the rules too. I don't give a damn how much you paying her. That's our neighborhood. That is where we live. And it's going to stop. And again, this is how we're going to stop this. We're going to find out who pulled the permit. We're going to start filing lawsuits. I don't care who you are. You're not going to come in that area and destroy it. You're going to respect the residents. I mean, it was an absolute madhouse. These people pay taxes. They have a right to be able to leave their homes. How dare you? And then argue with this man and tell him y'all not going nowhere. You're out of control. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, I'm over my 15 seconds. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Becky Duggan.
Becky Duggan, 129 North Pennock Avenue. I'll start with an easy one. The community center, the apparent low bidder on bid day was not awarded, nor was the second low bidder awarded. It went to the third low bidder. I'm sure there are other reasons. Apparently, perhaps it was, best value, not low bid. That's fine. But now we know there's a lawsuit because of that. Now, I also know it was bid as a separate prime. So a letter of intent was sent out to the mechanical contractor that had the award and to the electrical contractor in October of 2022. Now, contractors don't hold their price forever. It's now almost 9 months. Do we have guarantees from the electrical and mechanical contractors that they're going to hold their price? I'll take that as a no. So that would mean we'd have to go out for a rebid completely. It would have to be a complete rebid at the expense of the taxpayers. Now, I also know that, well, I'm pretty sure that ARPA money was allocated for this. So the ARPA money would no longer be encumbered by that if we have to go out and rebid because we don't have the contracts. Maybe I'm misstating that.
There's 2 million matching for 2 million of ARPA money for that.
2 million from ARPA money.
There's a $2
So
million grant to match. It was a $3 million grant. It came back at 2 million. So there's a 2 million ARPA matching that 2 million grant
Okay.
for
So when
that project.
When the federal government takes the ARPA money back,
They're not taking the money
they're not
back.
going to take any ARPA
No.
money back? Okay. Thank you, Brian. My next question is about the fire trucks. Just a minute ago, you said there were 3 fire trucks. Okay, there's the one from Pierce. There was one from Seagrave that is the one you canceled, and there's the third one from Kovach. But Kovach is the one that was the second one, actually, you said, according to the purchase order and the price. Now, I'm just wondering, when was the cancellation letter signed for Seagrave? Because this purchase order for the second one did not go out until March of this year. So we bought the second one in March of this year. When did we buy the first 2, or the first and the third one?
Ms. Dugan, I don't have that kind of detail. I don't have that detail on me right now.
Okay, well, do you remember when you signed the letter for cancellation for the
It's in the last month, yes.
last month?
Within the last month, yep.
Okay, so there were 3 fire trucks. So we appropriated money from the capital fund for $1 million? And we got,
Again, I don't have all that,
That's
I don't have that kind of detail like ready.
okay, so,
Right
and then my
now.
next question is, if we ordered 3 fire trucks, do we not still want 3 fire trucks? I mean, is that math doesn't compute.
We
We
like-
ordered
yeah,
3,
we
do we
like
not
to-
want 3, or are we trying to play a game with somebody?
No, we want 3 fire trucks. We definitely want 3 fire trucks.
Yes.
So when are we going to order the third one, and how long is that going to take to get?
Well, hopefully we'll be in a process after tonight, so.
And my last little thing is, at the last meeting or a meeting prior, it was stated that the fire truck was canceled because they wanted more money for it. But then I was told by a member of the administration that it was because they couldn't meet the specs.
It was a $140,000 surcharge due to material cost.
But it had
So-
nothing to do with not meeting the specs.
I seriously doubt it. It was 1.3, went to 1.4. And with the price of the 2 fire trucks in the ordinance at $1 million and $1 million, seems like there's $470,000 left over from the 2 trucks that we just heard the prices of the 2 fire trucks that are coming in this year. So it seems like there's a $470,000. Trucks were $785 and $800.
Right, but the third truck, as
I'm not
Mayor
talking
Keffer
about- I'm
mentioned,
just-
was coming from capital and not ARPA.
Laura, I'm only saying how much over in the ordinance is left, of 470 from the original ordinance. It was 2.5 million. There was 2.250. $1 million for a fire truck, $1 million for a fire truck, 250,000 for water rescue. So if the trucks are coming in at 750 and 800, there's a $400,000, $300,000 extra in that ordinance. That's all I'm saying. Nothing else. I'm not saying
Right, I
anything
just wanted to clarify that, as Mayor Keffer pointed out, it was coming out of capital and not ARPA.
That's correct, but I'm saying there's 400 and some odd thousand left over from that ordinance. That's all.
And that money will go,
Well, we'll see.
No, it won't. We'll
see.
get a
see.
truck. We'll get a truck.
There you go.
We'll get a truck.
There you go, Michelle.
Yeah, and, yeah. Yeah, and we'll get a truck. We'll get a truck. Next is, Tina Hamilton.
All right, everybody chilly? Tina Hamilton, 4715 Woodland Avenue. Again, I got an issue with this crime that's going on, all these shootings. It's crazy. All along Long Lane, they're having, we went down visiting one of these bars, having a chit chat with somebody and find out that they've been all over the place, running around, and we don't hear anything. We don't know what's going on. Maybe Joe Holden will put up something about a shooting, and here we are. We're going to get caught in the crossfire. It's going to happen. We have to get control of these people. We have to get more people on the streets. I don't care what anybody up here says. A deterrent is a police officer, and it's simply the truth. You go down the street, you look behind you, you get at a stop sign, you're going to think twice about doing something. You might not think that they're the best thing in the world. I happen to think so, but I sure know that they are a deterrent to crime. And shootings in parking lots, kids wandering out. We don't even have anybody for these incidents. There was 3 in 10 days, shootings. I don't know if everybody realizes that, but I sure as heck do. It's going on all over the place. Also, my other issue is the comment about Republicans. Why? Why? All these ordinances here that Laura put together with everybody, however they got put together, I really don't care. Why does the Republican comment have to be in there? I will have a Democratic comment. I think that you are a Democrat who don't like anybody. And if you could find an issue, you will. That's where I stand with you, Heyman. You're not showing you're showing true colors, and I don't like them. So that's going to be an issue if every time something goes on that you could probably have a chat about. Instead, we'll attack a Republican or however you want to put it, but it's wrong. It's wrong because this had nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. It had to do with ARPA funds. But there's still that stupid comment. I mean, how are you ever going to work together if that's what it's going to be? Democrat, Republican, black, white. It's really out of hand, the separation of things. I saw an event that was going on, and you were there, you were there, you were there, and you were there. I don't think you were, but neither was anybody else. Nobody knew about it. I'm like, what is this? I'm sending it to Polly. I'm like, what is this? Because I didn't know about it. I don't know about these events. We have an event down there at Juneteenth, and who shows up? Me. I was there. It's right down the street. It's not even a far walk. Burke was there. Lisa showed up. I knew that you couldn't. I know where you were. And you showed up, and no, I didn't see you. I must have went pee or something because I didn't see you. I saw Lisa. I'm not going to argue with you, Meg. I believe it. Laura showed up. But I'm saying there's a whole Juneteenth. No. Juneteenth. This was, this is for everybody. This is for everybody. Educational. Show up. Show your face. It wouldn't take much to do it. Thank you.
Next is Rich Bly.
Rich Bly, 6914 Chestnut Street. Everybody's asking me why I'm so happy. I'm happy because this past Saturday on June 17th, while celebrating Juneteenth, it was the 24th birthday of my deceased son who was shot in the head in the city of Philadelphia, and I got to celebrate it along with Juneteenth. I got to deal with my trauma through Juneteenth because of the family that's behind me. I got to deal with Juneteenth through the death of murder of my son. A month and 3 days later, the death of my mother. And on the day of my mother's burial, my first cousin passed away as well. We come up here and we talk about the trauma that people go through, and you guys pretend that you care, and you don't. So I just got a couple questions. I know you're not going to answer them right away, but I want them for the public record. And I'm asking you, President Burke, for all of these questions to be answered in written form to my email, okay? Who told the Harrisburg Juneteenth Health Fair volunteers that there was no local Juneteenth celebration? And please don't lie, because I have all of their materials here. And each and every one of them said that they were told that there was no local Juneteenth celebration whatsoever. The person who did the voters registration was at my event. So please don't lie, Community Engagement Committee or Cultural Engagement Committee. Please don't lie. They were told, because I asked each and every one of them, and I have the cards, and I've already called them, and I already talked to them, and they said, and I quote, "We knew nothing about a local Juneteenth program in Upper Darby Township. Where was it?" And I said, "Right around the corner at the post." And they said, "Oh, okay." So, will there be any money for any local nonprofits besides Breaking Bread? Are there any other nonprofits that deserve ARPA money? Now, I got told by Vice President Wentz that this situation with Breaking Bread is separate, but you guys have denied every nonprofit that has been helping with Code Blue or veterans or the for Juneteenth. So we're just wondering if we poor peasants can get a couple of your dollars. All right. All right. How many shootings have been near playgrounds and daycare centers in the past month? Mr. Sadiq, can you answer that one? Because it's all in your district. Huh? No? How many shootings, sir? How many shootings have been near? Because bullets have no name. Because bullets have no name. How many shootings in your district, sir, in the past month? 3. At daycare centers and playgrounds. I'm not going to stop, because this is important, because this is public safety, because people are dying, because I'm the father of a deceased son that has been murdered from the violence of Philadelphia that's coming here. You got storekeepers being beat in the head in your district, Tunis, beat in the head with bricks and rocks, and their stores being robbed, Tunis. That's the truth. Is the mayor's office selectively campaigning against Indian businesses that complain about the lack of police presence at their stores? Will there be a discussion who will be awarded ARPA funds and who will be deserving of that? Okay? Are we not arresting unsupervised kids that destroy people and commit danger and harm, bodily harm to people? Do I need to have a physical armed response? Do I need to be physical with people who might harm me in Upper Darby Township because I don't feel safe and protected? What type of response does a business owner have when they are threatened by unsupervised children who come into a store in your district, Mr. Tunis, with rocks and beat the employee almost to death in your district at a smoke shop? When will the PAL reopen, Mayor? Summertime. Idle hands means that kids get in trouble. But we know that you don't care about Black kids because you didn't support Juneteenth. Cultural Committee, don't shake your head. Don't shake your head. Don't shake your head. Don't shake your head. You didn't support it. Okay, it is true. You didn't, it's not support. It means Juneteenth is Juneteenth. All right?
Way bigger than you.
Okay, it's not about me. And thank you for answering that question, because it shows that it's personal.
It's way bigger than you.
I know it's way bigger than me, but the fact that you
And for the
admitted
record,
to the fact that it's
I had a
personal
wedding with
shows
Ann
the
Curtis.
disrespect and
Mr.
shows the
Black.
discrimination.
Mr. Black.
Brian Burke,
Thank you.
you heard that discrimination, right?
I will
He
get
said
to you.
because of me, you refuse to do Juneteenth, right? That's on public record. Thank you, Mr. Tunis. You're the best. You're the best. That's all I needed from you. Exactly the truth. The fact that you were discriminated
Thank you,
against
Mr.
a Black man because you are a son of an immigrant, not from this country, that you were discriminated against our own culture, and you publicly admitted you.
Rich.
You are lucky and fortunate. You are lucky and fortunate. You are lucky and fortunate. It's exactly what you said. You said it's because of me. Because of me? You're right. That's exactly what he said.
Said.
That's exactly what he said. That's exactly what you said. You're discriminating against me?
Rich, please.
Thank you.
Rich.
I love it. I'll send them to you.
Thank you.
Next is,
Open your mouth.
next is Brian Taylor.
Who's next? I'm sorry.
Brian Taylor. One more after him.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Brian.
Brian Sharif Taylor. My address is 7258 Lamport Road. I am the founder of Taylor Made Vets, also a board member of the Delaware County Veteran Memorial, but also someone who loves my community and everyone that is in it. I actually looked over the Daily Times article, and the quick question that I have is the proposal called for the $500,000 to the Break and Break Community Nonprofit student-run emergency housing. Have we, in your proposal, did you forget about the American Legion Post 214? Because when our country was in turmoil and dealing with the pandemic, they actually house first responders for many nights. And they have also housed people during Code Blue. So I was wondering, would you consider that emergency housing? And if you do, how come the American Legion Post 214, located at 6914 Chestnut Street, is not considered when we have had multiple conversations about the post? Because the post is not like a Marine Corps League that has already a contract with the township. Can anyone answer that question for me, please? Everybody all right?
Can-
ahead.
I was unaware when we were creating these ordinances that the American Legion Post 214 that they were not included in the nonprofit grant realm.
They was also
on the
denied
separate
the
side.
ARPA funds also, so that's why I'm bringing that to your
For the
attention.
ARPA. So we can look into it. The only thing on the specific ordinance for the emergency shelter is that my understanding was that the Code Blue was a warming station and not a housing of people living there type approach. So I have to check with UHY to see what we can do in that regard.
Yeah, because just for emergency situations, and I'm not really sure if you guys actually know this or not, but tailor-made vets and recovery without barriers who work.
Right.
Both situations are valid in good standard 501c nonprofit organizations.
Right.
And the American Legions, this is also part of their mission to actually help their own community, and they are considered a 501c, I think it's 19.
Okay, we'll definitely look into it to see what we can do. It won't be able to affect these ordinances, but for future ordinances.
Yeah, and I will always want you to actually think when there is an emergency, especially dealing with the community or even with the first responders, that their doors are always open. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Judy Dugan. Yeah, okay. That's it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for speaking.
Thank you, Secretary Phillips. Next up, the Honorable Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer, please.
Good evening, everyone. Because of tomorrow's forecast, the goat yoga will now take place on Thursday, July 13th. That starts at 4:15 in Naylor's Run Park, Grove 5. Also on July 13th, we will have a public meeting on the Community Development Block Grant Action Plan. That's at 6 p.m. in the One Center. The annual fireworks will take place on Friday, June 30th, and they are at the high school. I have some good news that's not directly related to the township, but the township is definitely a benefiter of this. The tree tenders and the Environmental Advisory Committee have made an alliance with the Catholic Heart Service Group, and they are sending They do a camp every year, and from June 26th to 29th, they will be working with tree tenders, the EAC, Parks Department at various parks throughout the township, doing like extra work, which is really great. And I thank them for reaching out and getting that done. It's the first time that they're coming here, and there's definitely a lot to do in Upper Darby. So the next council meeting is scheduled for July 12th, and I'd like to announce that Upper Darby will be hosting the Delco Jazz Jam on Friday, July 14th. The Arts and Education Foundation is also like a co-sponsor of that event. The headliner is Gerald Beasley, and the Jazz Jam will take place from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the municipal lot across from this building. On tonight's agenda, there are ordinances allocating the remaining ARPA funds, which are just over $13 million. And some of the projects are really, they're worthwhile, and we should really consider funding them. But these ordinances were sent out to council and some of my administration and the township solicitor this past Sunday. Per Councilor Wentz's Sunday email containing the said ordinances, quote, "I would like to thank the Finance Committee, President Burke, and Councilwoman Faralia for your contributions to these ordinances," unquote. So that sounds like 5 elected councilors were left out of the process. And again, this email was sent on Father's Day. The next day, which was a national holiday, our Township Controller, Diane Scuddy, sent a reply to Councilor Wentz's email, which I will read for the record. It's addressed to Laura. Respectfully, in the allocation of the remaining ARPA funds, was any consideration given to Donna Stillwell's proposal to allocate the remaining funds to lost revenue? By approving as lost revenue, this gives council the ability to allocate these funds for future needs. My concern for Upper Darby Township is that there is only $3 million remaining in bond funds for capital projects and purchases. It is unlikely we will be seeking another bond issue in 2024, and there are known and unknown capital expenses that will happen between now and a possible 2025 bond issue. Just recently, the transformer went in the municipal building, and the cost to replace it has to come from the current capital funds. We also have grant opportunities that require capital matches. I think it would be in the best interest of the township to allocate a portion of the remaining ARPA funds to lost revenue, so the township has funds for any unknown costly capital expense that we cannot fund out of the general sewer or highway fund. I'm happy to discuss this with you further. So I'd like to thank our controller, Diane Scuddy, for promptly responding to the Father's Day email on another holiday. My administration, over the course of the last 18 months, has held multiple public meetings on the ARPA funds, and it's kind of incredible that after all this 18 months of obstruction and accusation by the slim majority of council, now they've swiftly and quietly decided how this money should be spent, ignoring their colleagues, the administration, and the public, and disregarding the advice of our finance team. But then again, the election is 4 months and a couple of weeks away. That's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Keffer. So next up is me. It's been an interesting night. Treasurer, we'll go right to 10.0, Treasurer's report. I believe this is the report, is this the same report that Vice President Wentz read out last meeting, or you have a new? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
All right. Well, good evening. Getting right to the report you're talking about, that was an ARPA reconciliation, and there was a couple corrections to it that Diane passed along to me that I put in there. So I'm giving you the corrected version of that report that Council Vice President Wentz read out, just as a correction to have it right. I have a update of that report for tonight. My report this evening consists of 4 points, 4 parts. First, the cash balance report on the current bank accounts. Then our change in revenues and expenses for the period January 1st through May 31st, 2023. Our year-to-date real estate collection numbers, and the ARPA summary, which is the update from that report, and I'm probably going to do that each month, is just to keep that thing updated as you do the allocations for the rest of the ARPA money. Cash balance report as of May 31st, 2023. Unrestricted general funds at $45.1 million. The total ARPA cash, let me see if that's, I'm getting the feedback. I don't know what it is. The angle. Let's try it that way. Yeah, yeah. Does that work? Hello. All right. No, it didn't work. Unrestricted general funds at $45.1 million. The total ARPA cash in the accounts is $33,651,869.68, and I have a reconciliation of that breakout. I'm not going to go down through the rest of these, but the total of all of the cash on hand of all sources is $90,132,789.05. The cash balance increase in the unrestricted general funds accounts year to date is up $35,263,898.47. The change in revenue and expenses as of May 23rd, we have received $61,641,221.92 in general fund revenues, with expenditures of $26,257,741.56. That's a $35 million plus cash flow surplus on the year. This is very consistent with the way that our money works. And I do repeat for anybody who's tuning in for the first time, what happens is we collect a lot of our revenue in the first 4 months of the year, and then we spend it down through the rest of the year. That's the way it normally works. So we have a very large cash surplus at this point. Year to date, real estate collections, we've collected 93% of our budgeted current real estate taxes for the year. And again, these match up with the trends from prior years. And lastly, the ARPA summary, and I've attached the schedule to this. There's been some question about the accuracy of the numbers, and I know that Diane Scuddy's gone over these with a fine-tooth comb, and I'm looking at them, and I don't think there's anything wrong with these numbers. I don't think there's anything for anyone to be suspicious about in the ARPA accounts. So I just kind of want to put that out there. The ARPA summary, let's see. So we have available for authorization, and this is what's on the table tonight and moving forward, $13,325,694. That's what's left to be allocated. To date, there has been bank interest earned of $1,201,165.44 of bank interest. None of the bank interest since it's been earned has been spent, and that money is available for the general fund. So when we talk about the ARPA funds available for authorization, we've subtracted that bank interest from that number. That was, I think, part of the question of the report from last time. Let's see, and that is it. That's the summary of the report. And then here are the three attachments to the report.
Thank you, Treasurer Hammond. Can I get a motion to?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes?
No.
Thank you. All right. Next up, thank you, Treasurer Hammond again. 11.0 Committee Reports, Finance and Appropriation Committee, Vice President Wentz.
So I just want to point out a little clarification. I realize Mayor Keffer has just left. As far as our last council meeting is when, as part of our financial report, Finance Committee report, I indicated that if any council members had any amounts or any ways that they wanted ARPA funds distributed throughout their districts, to please send it to the Finance Committee. The only council member I heard from was Councilwoman Faralia. That is the reason why she was mentioned on the email. So it's not that people weren't given the opportunity, but quite frankly, with all the free the funds rallies for the past year and a half, I'm not sure why in the last 2 weeks we didn't. no one from the Finance Committee received any information from 5 council members. So it wasn't a matter of not working with them. They did not take part in the open door of, hey, send your information in, let's have a conversation. But apparently it didn't work out that way. So the Finance Committee put together what we did. And as far as the email, we were working on the ordinances. Because there was a request for knowing exactly how we were looking at allocating because the ordinances were not completed yet, I sent out the email of the intention of the Finance Committee of the breakdown of the ordinances and how much going to where. That's what was referenced in the article of a 3-day notice, except for there was actually a 2-week notice from the last council meeting saying, hey, please send your information in. But quite frankly, you had over a year and a half. So I'm not really sure. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Can I just say one thing, Council, Vice President Wentz? It's not about that. Well, actually, it is about that, but it's also about, I just want to make a comment about some people that may have said some things about the nonprofits, about why they're not getting funding, because so it is sort of about what you are about to talk about the ordinance, if that's okay with you. Just want to talk about some information about why some people may not have gotten funded, just in case, because people may not have understood why some didn't get funded and why some did.
Right. Well, actually,
but I can do whenever you want me to do it.
Actually,
Whenever you want me to
just
do it, I can
give
do
me
it.
1 second
Sure.
on that. Yes, I think it's really important for us to have that conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
I was actually, next up was a resolution.
Okay.
So is it better to discuss it after the resolution and then go into that conversation more timely within before the Finance Committee is over? Is that okay?
I'll do it whenever you want me to.
Okay.
But I just want to put that interjection in there, because people be making a lot of assumptions because they think they know everything. And I just want to,
I've told everyone I am
Can we
not
move
privy
on?
to the
Can we move on,
information.
please? Thank you.
I just want to make
Thank
things
you.
clear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to wait, Councilman Heyman? I can wait. Okay, thank you. So we're going to
So we have a resolution
resolution, yeah.
14-23. Can we get a reading of the resolution?
Yes, I'm Frida.
This is Resolution 14-23, a resolution authorizing designated agent for flood mitigation assistance program. Whereas
It's
Upper Darby
freezing.
Township has applied for the flood mitigation assistance program for Naylor's Run, and whereas Upper Darby Township recognizes that funding from the flood mitigation assistance program for flood mitigation efforts along Naylor's Run would be an asset to the township, and whereas Upper Darby Township desires to request funding for flood mitigation efforts along Naylor's Run, now therefore be it resolved that Barbara Ann Keffer, the mayor of the township, is authorized to execute all documents and agreements needed to facilitate and assist in obtaining and executing the flood mitigation assistance program grant. The township is authorized to provide such assurances, certificates, application fees, and supplemental data or revised data that may be requested in connection with the application and administration of the flood mitigation assistance program grant.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 14-23.
Have a second.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you.
Okay, so next up, we have ARPA ordinances. Before we get into the ARPA ordinances, Secretary Billups, would you want to talk about your concerns?
Yeah. So thank you, Vice President Wentz. So my concern is that while there were 45, if I'm not mistaken, Councilman Silver, it was about 40. It was 45 applications that applied for the funds for the nonprofit. Some of them, a few pulled out, and some did not get approved. And the reason why some did not get approved is because they did not have a copy of the 990s, not a 990 postcard that was filed with the IRS for 2019, 2020, and 2021. a copy of their certificate from the state, acknowledging them as an official nonprofit with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in good standing. And they may not have also submitted the amount requested along with details of what requested funds would be used for and some other documents that they did not submit. So, you know, whatever you may assume about me or anyone else up here, if you do not have the facts, don't be coming up here saying bull-ish stuff. And also, we do not have a lawsuit for whatever that thing that you're talking about for the community center. We don't have it. We don't have. No, we don't. No, we don't.
We really
No, we don't.
We
So
really
get your facts
don't.
straight. Get your facts straight. I'm sick.
I can give you the case number.
And she can give you the case number as well. She can give you the case number as well. There is none. There is none.
Solicitor said there is none, so
There
there
is
is
none.
none.
Withdrawn, it was withdrawn.
It was withdrawn. So all I'm saying is, all I'm saying is, you know, we just need to get your facts straight. Just get your facts straight. That's all
All
I'm
right,
saying.
so there is no lawsuit. It was withdrawn. Solicitor said it was withdrawn. If you want to know, we'll get the date. Let's move on.
Yep. That's all I want
Thank
to
you,
say.
Secretary Billups.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Council.
Yeah, Council President Burke, if I could add to Councilwoman Billups, the response to, it was my understanding that UHY was directed to send letters to any organization that applied, but was not receiving of, was not like considered, like if their application wasn't considered completed as to what the issues were. And there were some that also had, they weren't all just like paperwork issues. There were some that were a little more substantial, but it's, but yeah, so, you know, I hope everyone sort of is aware. It's not, we can't give federal funding to organizations that like, we're not able to be in compliance with that. I mean, it's sad, like a lot of the groups that I know of personally that do a lot of great work, we're sadly not in the list because of that. And we're just hoping that if this happens again, or if something happens like this again, that they'll be in a better place to be able to apply for these grants.
Councilman Silva. Councilman Heyman.
So my comments to address what Vice President Wentz just said about the Finance Committee. She said that in the last public meeting, she made a comment that anybody who has anything that they want done in their districts to send the Finance Committee an email and that they would be addressed. That's not how we do business. I mean, that can be how we do business on a particular minor motion or resolution. We're not talking about that. There was no timeline. There was no expectation of one, especially after 18 months of the money being held. The public comments we heard tonight from multiple different organizations and individuals show that there are lots of things that we need. I'm not necessarily against any individual ordinance in here. I have questions about them, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be brought forward or that these ideas aren't worthy of being discussed here in a public forum. But here they are on our agenda tonight for introduction and advertisement. They were provided to the full body of council 72 hours prior to this meeting. There seem to be very different standards for some members of council, and that seems to break the barrier of the 6 to 5, because I know not all members of the 6 were given the same expectations or standards as others. I don't think that's fair either. I'll give an example. Our police department, we need a new roof. Members have been made aware of that, and the amount requested has not been appropriated. As I said to this council about a year ago, if there's a surplus, it can be reappropriated by council at a later date. Great. But that's just one of many examples. We have lots of great organizations in this township that are doing work that could have been considered and haven't been. Compare this to how we do a budget. Compare this to how any municipality is required to, our neighbor, East Lansdowne, has 30 days at minimum that budget goes from preliminary to final in public. That's 1/4 the amount of money that we're appropriating here tonight or obligating here tonight. That's a 30-day process. All we're asking for in this process, and all of the concerns that I think, at least some of the concerns that some of my fellow council members can and may discuss tonight, address the need for fairness in the ability to have an open discussion. We may not get what we want. I've told you repeatedly on various issues. If you have 6 votes, you have 6 votes. But giving council members an equal opportunity to review these items and discuss concerns or questions, which are not inherently necessarily negative or not meant to defeat a particular matter. For example, I had concerns about the Upper Darby Arts and Education funding before I walked in here. But Mr. Dietzler came and spoke, and I think that sounds fantastic. But this is the kind of thing that we could have been discussing instead of just having it rammed down council members' throats after 18 months of refusing to appropriate the funds. And I, as our mayor said, probably not coincidentally, just about 4.5 months before an election. That's what it feels like. If council members want to move forward with releasing these funds, great. Let's have that discussion, but let's do it the right way.
Thank you, Councilman Hammond. As you said, with money left over, I was just notified today through the mayor that there's $400,000 left in that one particular ordinance that was 2.250, 750 and 800 for the 2 fire trucks and the water rescue equipment that I believe captain or chief, one of the chiefs ordered not too long ago. So of the $400,000 going back into the pot, some other concerns. I believe there's 19 days or 17 days before our next meeting. We've advertised many ordinances that we've seen a day before. When I came on this council, as I sat in your seat, Andrew, Councilman Hammond, I received ordinances an hour before I sat in this seat. And we together made basically to advertise it, and then we've changed it. We've only had like 13 days or maybe less than 13 days. We have the opportunity of 19 days to have comments back and forth between council and whether it's the vice president or it's the whole finance chair. I've stepped out of plenty of meetings, just like the parking ordinance, Councilman Tunis. I said, go ahead, I'll step out. Once again, I will step out again. So I'm in favor of advertising this, and I'm in favor of listening to some council people and the mayor saying there's good things here to advertise these and hope everybody works together to get to a common goal. That's all I'm asking for. I'm going to let Councilman Wagner go, and then you can reply. Is that
Okay,
all right?
that's fine.
Okay, again, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So you're saying receiving ordinances a day or an hour before. I don't think that is necessarily appropriate. We're not talking about an ordinance on a particular specific municipal law. We're talking about $14 million, almost $14 million in government spending. I just think that requires a little bit more thought and collaboration, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's not a no. It's a let's get an opportunity to talk about it. I'll give you an example. You're saying 19 days before the next meeting. That's a long time. I mean, we waited 4 months after finding out there was no consequence to releasing the funding for last year for that matter to get council to agree to release the funding. I'm just saying, when I brought up last year, for example, I said, I asked council members to allow introduction and advertisement for ordinances myself. But we had those ordinances for 6 or 7 months by the time that I did that, not 72 hours.
And also when Vice President Wentz and the Finance and the Public Safety Committee together tried to put $2.2 million in an ordinance, and we were told to stay out of the contract and back pay. We were told to stay away and not to have that ordinance, and we were violating whatever from this administration, that it sat for 7 months. And I believe it also was a year and a half before they had contract. So you have 19 days to decide what you want to do. This council, as a body of 11, have passed budgets 11-0. They've passed ordinances 8-3. I think there's some good ordinances here. I'm just replying back to what you said to me. That's all.
No, I think there are too. I'm not disputing that. My question is not about the particular material. It's about the time.
Remember, I did, Mr. Hammond, yeah. Look, I think we're missing, or I want to make sure we're seeing the big picture here, okay?
these ordinances that are before us and what we do with the ARPA funds, we have a really great opportunity here to work together and to make sure that every district in the township gets benefit from the ARPA ordinances. And I know we can work together because we've done it in the past. This is only a motion to introduce and advertise that gives us 19 days to continue to work together. I know I spoke to several of you last night. There are so many ways to do it. You know, we could go to each other's districts. We can look at all of these things. And I don't see any reason not to advertise it tonight. We've done this many other times. We have a unique opportunity because of 4th of July that it falls, that our meeting got pushed back a week. So we have 19 days to come together and figure out what we want to do. But there's no reason not to advertise it at this point. So I am in favor of that. I'm asking all of you to do the same with the understanding that I will work with you in good faith. And I think most of you know that I will, and that I mean that.
Yes, thank you, President Berg. I agree with Councilwoman Wagner and Councilman Hayman. Councilman Hayman referenced the finance chair did not include us. We did hear from members of the committee that wanted us to be included, but it was not from the chair of the finance committee. It's just simply the truth. I think a lot of the ordinances here are great. Some of you know I've been doing social media campaigns, protests to get a lot of these funds free. My only question, and maybe I'm a little bit premature here, is if we could just include an amendment to the parks part, committing to Naylor's Run and discussing the rest of the sum with members of council, and then also possibly increasing Councilwoman Ferralia's original ask for the police department.
We're already there.
All right, that's the. Yeah. Well, Councilwoman Ferralia, you have me and 10 others.
Councilman Tunis, you have the floor.
Or 9 others.
Okay.
Just one,
I'm sorry.
just 1 second. And yes, I do feel like we should have been more involved in the process, but I'm willing to compromise in a good faith effort, hoping over the next 19 days that we can come to a solution that benefits not only like our entire township and getting more of the public input and council members' input. If we're all willing to commit to move forward on good faith.
Can I be
So-
permitted to make one correction, one important correction?
Yes.
Or if I might, sir.
Go ahead.
So the only thing you need to be aware of is under your home rule charter, the ordinance is got to be, its final adoption is the way it is advertised. So if you tend to make changes, it has to be re-advertised.
No, it can, we can do 20%. So as long as we don't change more than 20%.
That's not, that is true under the Municipal Planning Act. It is not true under the way your ordinance is written. Doesn't say that. It says every ordinance must be in the form required for final adoption. No ordinance shall contain more than one subject, and if you're making any changes, any ordinance which repeals or amends an existing ordinance, you must re-advertise it. I'm sorry, I hear.
That's right.
All right, I still think we're there.
Okay, just hold on 1 second. Alexis, some of the stuff that Solicitor Morosini just read it says one topic. We've had 8 or 10 different things in an ordinance before. So I don't know where this is coming from, but
The tax
we've had
levy
3 or
has
4
more
different
than
items
one.
on an ordinance that says one here, so.
Past practice.
Advertised is the caption.
So the only thing that's advertised is the caption? Okay.
Correct.
For inspection, okay, that's fine. Okay.
course.
I think we're there.
Has to be available for inspection.
for
The changes have been made before the final adoption.
Okay.
And within
We're fine,
20%.
we're fine there. I'll go to Councilwoman Blackwell, I'll go to you because looks like Councilman Silva's talking back there. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I would like to make the motion to advertise all of them together at once, including the 2 million for the police, as well as the amendment for Naylor's Run. And
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Blackwell to advertise all 6 ordinances at once.
I'll second that.
Okay, but I have so let's clarify the amendments that she just made within the motion. There are amendments she just made within the motion. So we were.
Just hold on one second.
The only we're talking about is 3137.
Just, please, I'll give it back to you. Give me,
And
just,
then-
just hold. Okay. So we have a motion to advertise all 6, first and second. Councilman Silva, you wanted to say something before she made the motion. Do you still want to say something?
Okay, it's in regards to ordinance 3137. I just want to, it sounds like there's some sticking of points about some of the smaller, like improvements of some of the other parks. But my big concern is that the improvements made to Naylor's Run are the ones reflected in this ordinance. And if we have to leave the remainder as a lump sum to determine which parks need them the most. I mean, I think we tried to do a cross-section of the parks that were either geographically isolated, parks that serve like a large community that don't have a lot of, I like Gulf Road, right, is a classic example of a
Right.
park that, the kids have to cross Westchester Pike or State Road. It's not a safe situation. So for that park to be in bad shape, it really penalizes that community. But if the whole body would like to review the remainder, then I would be okay with that. If that amendment needs to be made first, then okay. But I would like to see Naylor's, because that is a park that is central to this township, that everyone goes through. And I would really like that to be a park that any child in this township could use and want to use.
Second, yeah, like, support
Okay,
that.
so if I'm understanding you correctly, I believe that as long as we don't, we can reallocate these funds within this ordinance to other parks if there are other parks that need to be allocated to without, you're not talking about raising the amount, or are you talking about raising the amount?
No,
You're just talking about shifting it around.
just having a conversation with people that live in a district.
Okay, can I, just let me clarify this so that we all fully understand. A lot of people are talking, and I'm sorry, but I have a slight migraine, so I want to make sure we're all very clear about what we're talking about, okay? My understanding is that as long as if we're not increasing the funds that are the total amount that's allocated in 3137, then we're not changing 20%. We're just shifting how it's being allocated. So it can be introduced the way it is, and it can be shifted based on discussion of how the funds are distributed, as long as we're not increasing that number.
Exactly.
Are you getting the
Okay,
20%?
hold on, Solicitor Marcini.
I'm sorry.
Past
Wait,
practice.
Laura, I'm going to refer to Alexis on this. I'm sorry, but Alexis, what Vice President Wentz just said, and I think we all agree, that if the value of the number does not change in the ordinance, you can move 100,000, 50,000, or whatever to wherever you want. It's the caption and the value. If you change the value more than 20%,
We have to.
then you have to re-advertise it. It's not 20% of the words, it's 20% of the value. Am I correct?
It's the substance.
That is our
Okay,
past
so I
practice.
believe everybody is there on the numbers, the values of every ordinance.
Except in,
So-
except in 3136. When I,
Slow down. So let's take that one by itself and pass the other ones.
just, no, just give me 1 second.
Okay.
If you just give me 1 second, we'll be there.
Yeah.
Okay? When I was originally looking at the numbers, and I rechecked them today when Treasurer Heyman was doing his numbers, I accidentally took $13,092,878 as the amount that we had left. That was what was that was in the formula for the lost revenue. So when the finance committee worked on this ordinance, I used the lower number as the total amount that was available. But the real total amount that's available is $13,325,694. So therefore, there's the room. I didn't know anything about the roof. I never got numbers about the roof. But as far as the key fob, we can add 123,000 that was part of the request I received for the key fob. Is that what you wanted to do, Councilwoman Faralia? Okay, so I would like to make that clarification to Councilwoman Blackwell's amendment that it's the 123,000 for the key fob to be added to 3136.
Okay, that's fine.
Is that what, do we have agreement?
Okay.
I mean, it's your amendment, so
Would
do
you
you
take-
agree with that amendment?
So, okay.
Clarification.
So hold on, Laura. So would you rescind your motion to advertise all 6?
No, keep it advertised
Okay.
all 6, and we're just making the
Okay,
amendment to 3136 to add the 123,000.
Okay, that's fine.
I think it's, yeah.
All right.
Can you just make a motion to advertise with the amendment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. That's what you were going to say.
It's, somehow we're under by 1.
Okay, Councilman Hammond, go ahead.
I just want to clarify with our solicitor Marcini, because the Home Rule Charter says we are required to follow the legal advice of the solicitor. Is this, this action that we are taking, is this permissible?
Not this 20%. I don't know where that is.
So it came from Sean Kilkenny, quite frankly,
years.
multiple times throughout the past many years.
I knew about this issue. I communicated with the firm. I looked at the ordinance. Your ordinance in your home rule charter doesn't say that.
Okay, but the past practice, and Solicitor Kilkenny has said to us on numerous council meetings that as long as we don't change more than 20%, we can do it. And that's the past practice that we've been following.
We're going to be fine.
Councilman Silva has a question.
Sure, yeah, I'm just trying to get an idea where this 20% confusion could have come from, but is that like standard municipal code or something or is that not?
And the municipal code, you can make changes as long as they're not substantial. That's the 20%.
There's the 20%.
But the problem is, your ordinance, your home rule charter doesn't say that. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
to
but
you.
there's a lot of things in our home rule charter that people don't follow.
Okay, that's Laura.
I'm just trying to get
I mean, like a lot of things, like it
Like
talks
the
about the
council.
budget.
Please. No. Nobody can even hear Solicitor Marcini when she's talking. So please, people that have the mic, till I direct that you have the mic. So Solicitor Marcini is quoting Sean, Solicitor Kilkenny. It's past practice. We're going with past practice. We have a motion first and second.
I just have one small amendment to it. Something went awry with the math and it comes out to 1,999,000. So I'd like to just add that 1,000 to make it 2 million
Fine.
for the police. Is that
Fine.
okay?
You're going to rewrite it and send it to Alexis
I'll
anyway.
just make that adjustment. I just wanted to make sure we're
And
transparent.
we're going to go with
on
the
that, since-
amended version of the 6 ordinances.
We got to just fix 3137.
Right, right.
No, 3137 is good to go. We're not changing the amount. We'll just reassign the
fine.
funds
Which
accordingly
we can
and
do.
keep Naylor's Run the way it is because it's designed to,
Okay.
by the Parks Committee.
So we have a first and second.
I want to say something.
Go ahead.
So also on here is this quantity of 6 marked patrol cars. So when I spoke to the superintendent, I want to change that and let him decide because he wants to get an ESU unit, he needs a van. So it should be under his discretion on what vehicles that he needs for his police department. It shouldn't be ours.
The whole reason why we had allocated 1.2 million the last time for police vehicles was because our patrol cars were running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They cannot last in that type of being used that way. So originally in that 1.2 million, there were patrol cars that were supposed to be allocated. I'm hoping he has allocated. Well, how many did he allocate? How many did he purchase?
Listen, we'll get more information on that, and that's less
We
than
need
20%. That's less than 20%. We can do it over 19 days.
Okay, but I mean, if patrol cars are not in the equation, we have a problem. If we are not purchasing patrol cars, we're gonna have a problem because we already have one.
Purchase them, Laura, and he has purchased them. I have it all.
Councilwoman Farrelly, Councilwoman Wentz. I'm calling the question.
You can't call the question, you can't call the question as the president, unfortunately, but I'll call the question. I make the motion to call the question.
We have a motion to call the question.
Any discussion?
A second? Got a second. All right.
Are we allowed to discuss calling the question?
No,
Huh?
sure.
Discussion.
Okay,
can
we'll have a
discuss.
discussion calling the question.
Just before voting to call the question, I would like clarification on what the amendments are to 3136.
Okay.
Okay, the clarification is that for 3136, we are adding $124,000 for the key fob.
Okay, and then what about
And that takes us up to 2 million.
Councilwoman Feralia's recommendation about, I guess what's your recommendation? Just put in vehicle purchase of 450,000?
We're not clarifying that at this point in time because there's a debate over it. And so if we want to move forward with these ordinances, this ordinance in its entirety, that could fall under the 20% concept of a discussion over 19 days versus if you try and do that now, you might lose it completely.
Isn't it just changing the title of it? I don't think there's not any changes to the value. I don't understand how it'd be 20%.
The value of anything.
I know that's why it can be done after 19
After
days. when we have
in
more
the
information
19
on this,
days
and
to
not
get
when we're hearing about it up
clarification.
here.
All right, well, I'm put it out. I support Councilwoman Feralia's edit or whatever you want to call it.
I wouldn't vote for it if we didn't include 6 patrol cars.
Can I make a
So why don't we meet middle ground and do that during the 19
Sit down,
days?
everybody. We're close. We can all.
Right,
get-
yeah, I know, my vote doesn't matter. I understand that that's how you feel, but I think that it does matter. I think everyone's vote matters. And if we're going to be able to move this through right now for advertisement, the way it is, based on the amendments we've already agreed upon, then I think we should do that. And if it's something that could be adjusted in 19 days, I didn't see a list from you on patrol cars and number of cars that had been ordered. That information would have been handy
All right,
earlier.
Vice President Wentz,
Well, then that's great.
Councilwoman
Thank you.
Farrelly.
So can we?
Excuse me.
Please.
ESU unit. Is that going to hurt us if we buy one ESU unit? One. Is that going to, we were still going to be able to get 5 cars? Okay, then we'll amend it. If nobody wants to vote it on that, we'll amend it in 19 days when it goes out 100%. We're getting the vehicles.
Can I?
Go ahead,
Please
Councilman.
make a-
So I just wanted to make sure that was
Thank
clear.
you.
That wouldn't cause a problem of not getting the 5 cars. That's all. 5 marked patrol cars. That's all I was.
Okay,
That's fine.
I just wanted to say, as far as purchasing,
As long as we get 6 cars.
could we say, 450,000 towards vehicles, including marked patrol cars?
ESU unit, a marked
I mean,
vehicle.
I'm not the superintendent of police. I don't exactly know what his needs are, but, and I don't want to tell
Okay,
him
Lisa, let him
precisely
speak, please.
if he knows better than me.
Everybody let the person speak that's speaking. So now I have a question. Is the ESU unit a marked vehicle? Yes or no?
I have no idea, Brian.
I know, either way.
What is it called, Officer Bateman? What is it called?
Way to go, put them on the spot. That was wonderful.
All right, fine.
Well,
We're gonna,
that's one to
all right, so we're gonna say the ES unit is a marked vehicle, so that's it.
I mean, you guys
Fine.
are there arguing
And
about
President
something
Byrd.
that none of you know nothing about.
All right.
Not-
Okay, that's enough.
You know a lot about it.
All right. All right, that's enough. I'm not gonna bang the gavel because I got Howard Ed earlier. Okay, I understand.
Point of order, we
Go
have a
ahead.
vote, we have a
So we
motion on the
have,
floor for calling the question. Please
Alexis-
move forward.
Excuse me, Alexis, go ahead.
I just have a quick question. So if
just little amendments that have to be worked out that could be, I don't even think it's going to take 19 days to work it out. We can hold off on the advertising.
Yes.
Because we have plenty of time to do it.
That's correct.
It has to be advertised 7 days before the meeting. So we have time for the advertising to get all the kinks worked out, and then we don't have to worry about 20% here and there. All the kinks will be worked out.
Correct.
Thank you, Alexis. Councilman Tunis, I'm going to step back from that committee for the next 19 days. Will you?
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course.
Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor. Point of order?
Yeah.
Point of order.
We got to, what?
Can we call the question now?
Can we move forward?
Yeah,
with-
we can move forward, yes.
Good.
Can we move forward?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a call to question?
Yes.
What do you have, Brian? Okay. So we have a motion
Close discussion.
to close discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? All right, so we have a motion first and second on 6 ordinances with the amendments. of the
Roll
key
call.
What's that?
Roll call vote.
Roll
It's an
call.
ordinance.
What's that?
On the 6 ordinances, I think roll call
Ordinance-
sounds pretty.
Michelle? For 3.5 years, Michelle's always right.
Yeah, get out.
Go ahead, Michelle. Councilwoman Phelps.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, this is a motion to advertise.
No,
it.
I got it. I got it. Woo. So, this is a council vote motion to advertise all 6 ordinance.
Yes.
So
Okay?
we just,
We got it.
we did not do a reading of any of the ordinances as is
Do the short version of
required.
every ordinance.
My,
Do a short version of every ordinance.
but if you do it from the whereases, the 6 whereas of each of them, that gives you the shorter version
Got it, Lauren.
plus
Thank
the
you.
header.
All right.
So that we're not in violation.
Go ahead.
Which one?
All right, so we're going to start on 31,
One.
36.
Which part did we read?
What's that?
Which part did we read?
Here, hold on.
So
I got it.
if you do the
So
top
31,
section,
6 So we're on ordinance 31, 36. Just read.
you do the top section and then you do the 6 whereas, it's the one above the therefore.
All right, ready.
Where did we start?
Go ahead. 31, 36.
Whereas Upper Darby Township Council adopted a budget for the calendar year 2023 on December 22nd, 2022.
No,
That's what you told me to read.
the 6 whereas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6th one is on the second page.
Second page, I'm sorry.
Council recognizes the necessity.
Okay. Whereas council recognized necessity for the Breaking Bread community and emergency
Is your
shelter for
mic
the
on?
unhoused population.
You're,
of Upper Darby.
you got to get your mic closer to you and on.
It's on.
Okay.
We discussed.
Whereas council recognizes the necessity for the Breaking Bread community and emergency shelter for the unhoused population of Upper Darby, which has increased as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic under negative economic impact, assistance to nonprofits, expenditure category 2.34, assistance to impacted nonprofit organizations impacted or disproportionately impacted, the essential service provided by the five Upper Darby volunteer firehouses throughout this pandemic, resulting in the need for improved service under public health, negative economic impact, public sector capacity expenditure, category 3.4, public sector. Okay, this doesn't make sense to me. Effective service delivery in Upper Darby Police Department, essential services needed under public health, negative economic impact. 3, public sector capacity expenditure, category 3.4, public sector capacity, effective service delivery. Now, I did not write this.
That's all right.
All right.
We're going to be changing
UHY regulations.
It's under UHY.
Okay. Would you read something else?
Yeah. Okay. So that's 31, 36.
We did just catch another mistake, a mistake that I had made. We are missing in this ordinance, the 1.4 million for the,
Seagraves fire truck.
for the fire truck. Fire truck.
From Seagraves.
but I think it's in the total calculations. I have to.
I believe it's in the email.
It's in the email, yes.
It's in the email, so.
So it's in the email and the calculations should be correct.
Okay. We'll make
The total calculation, but yes, and there was also one other, there was the, Councilman Andrusko, do you have it pulled up? I'm having problems getting it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the first responders ordinance.
On the spreadsheet I sent.
Yes, so it has for fire, 1.4 million for a fire truck, 500K for the firehouse upgrades, which is included in here. The police, running it down, I think we have everything, the boilers, fire safety, parking lot, flooring upgrade, patrol cars and purchase of 7260 Westchester Pike, and the emergency shelter for 500K, which is on here as well.
But does the math add up?
Let me pull up the
2 million, correct? 2.4 million total.
I just have to make sure that we have,
No, it's more than that, Brian.
What's that? You have to add 1.4 million to it.
well, no, we have to just verify that I had it in the numbers to begin with.
I'm running the math for it right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
1.9.
Back at work.
Yeah, you can keep reading while we.
Fifth or sixth for
It's the sixth, it's the one above the therefore. Just go to the second page, it's above the therefore.
Well, he's going to be disappointed.
Whereas council recognizes the necessity for upgrades to many Upper Darby parks and is allocating from the ARPA funds for the township parks under the negative economic impacts, 2A, assistance to household expenditure category 2.22, strong healthy communities, neighborhood features that promotes health and safety, and now therefore be it ordained and follows.
Okay, so 3138, please.
Oh, yes, sir.
Was that right?
Yep.
31,
I did 37.
oh, is that 37? 3138. Okay.
Okay.
I thought she.
I didn't read it
Okay.
therefore. I didn't.
Okay.
Okay, now therefore, it's a third, now therefore it be ordained as follow, Upper Darby Council makes the following supplemental appropriations for Mayor Keffer and the administration to take the necessary actions for these specific township parks to be upgraded from the American Rescue Plan allocation. Can we read the allocations? Okay.
And then for 3138, here you go.
Okay.
Whereas,
Whereas the Upper Darby Township Council is allocating one-time ARPA funding under public health negative economic impact. 3, public sector capacity expenditure category 3.4, public sector capacity effective service delivery to lease property building for senior center in Drexel Hill located in the western part of Upper Darby Township, PA 19026, and make leasehold improvements provided the property owner agrees to the improvements. Oh, my goodness. Therefore, be it ordained as follows. Upper Darby Township Council makes the following supplemental appropriations from the township's American Rescue Plan allocation for Mayor Keffer and the administration to sign a lease with 5037 Township Line Road, Drexel Hill, PA 19026, that will expire December 31, 2026, with a lease including improvements to the property for the use in Drexel Hill located in the western part of Upper Darby Township. Yes, sir.
all right, now on 3139,
Just this part right there. Whereas council recognizes the necessity to revitalize Upper Darby Township business districts and is allocating from the ARPA funds one-time funding for the revitalization of the Upper Darby Township business districts under public health negative economic. 3, public sector capacity expenditure category 3.4, public sector capacity effective service delivery, and now now therefore be it ordained as follow, Upper Darby Council makes the following supplemental appropriations for Mayor Keffer and the administration to implement for the revitalization of the Upper Darby Township business districts from the American Rescue Plan allocation.
3141,
I've got it.
please.
Whereas council recognizes the necessity to provide effective government service delivery and is allocating from the ARPA funds for purchase of new trash trucks for the sanitation department of Upper Darby Township under public health negative economic impact. 3, public sector capacity expenditure category 3.4, public sector capacity effective service delivery, and now therefore be it ordained as followed, Upper Darby Township Council makes the following supplemental appropriations for Mayor Keffer and the administration to purchase a new trash trucks for the sanitation department of Upper Darby Township from the American Rescue Plan allocation.
3141,
I got it now.
Can we just do that?
I got it. Whereas council recognizes the necessity to assist the nonprofit Upper Darby Arts and Education Foundation to create the Barclay Square Arts and Education Center and providing one-time ARPA funding under negative economic impacts equals 2.C, assistance to nonprofits expenditure category 2.34, assistance to impacted nonprofit organizations impacted or disproportionately impacted to cover rent, remodeling, and operational costs. And now therefore be it ordained as follow, Upper Darby Township Council makes the following supplemental appropriations for Mayor Keffer and the administration to assist the nonprofit Upper Darby Arts and Education Foundation to create the Barclay Square Arts and Education Center from the American Rescue Plan allocation.
Thank you. And just to clarify, thank you, Councilman Andrusko, for catching the mistake. The 1.4 million for the fire truck for Seagraves, the number was included in the grand total of the ordinance itself, but was missed when I was putting it onto the ordinance itself. So that takes the total, and plus and just to clarify, the 124,000 that we added takes the grand total of the ordinance to $4,400,000. Okay, is everyone good with that? Great.
roll call, please.
Yes.
So as I was saying earlier, this is the motion to advertise all of the 6 ordinance, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Counselor Hayman,
Yes.
Counselor Blackwell,
Yes.
Counselor Andrusko,
Yes.
Counselor Sadiq,
Yes.
Counselor Faralia, Counselor Silva,
Yes.
President Burke,
Yes.
Secretary Billups is a yes, Counselor Wagner,
Yes.
Counselor Tunis,
Yes.
Vice President Wentz.
Yes.
It's 11-0.
11-0, thank you.
There's-
Thank you. I lost the agenda with all that paperwork. All right. Solicitor's report.
I just want to correct something. I misspoke. I said withdrawn when I shouldn't have. There was a lawsuit, there was a complaint in equity filed by one of the bidders who was not given the award. They never pursued it. It went nowhere. So it died on the vine, I hate to say. So there was a complaint in equity that was filed for a preliminary injunction, which was not pursued. So I wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Solicitor.
Sorry.
Any questions for the Solicitor? Okay. Old business?
Is that fair?
New business? Councilwoman Blackwell, go ahead.
So I just want to remind the community that we are having a neighborhood cleanup on this Saturday, the 24th, at 10 o'clock at the Observatory Field. We'll meet there, and then we'll branch out into different parts of the neighborhood that may need cleaning. Please join us to participate, or come and get some supplies, however you would like. So that is going on. Thank you, President Burke. At 10 o'clock at the Observatory
Woman
Field.
Blackwell. Councilwoman?
So, also on Saturday from 10 to 2, there will be a resource fair at 77 South Union Avenue, which is in the 7th District. tended to. All kind of resources will be there.
Okay, any rain dates on them? Looks like it's going to rain Saturday.
Well, this is the second rain date.
Okay, all right, thanks. Anybody else on new business? 15.0, adjournment,
Motion to adjourn.
second, 9:15,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you. So.
No, I feel like I should, I didn't, I feel like, I just felt like, I don't know.
Okay. Oh, the back and forth about like you said it, and then, yeah, I couldn't find it. When I searched for it, I couldn't find it. So that's the only reason why.